Well, good morning, everyone. Time check. Here is 10:10 in China. Whatever time zone you're in, I want to say my very special thanks for both audiences for joining tonight. The Guelo 60 crew is in the house, and they are in the chat forms on the side there. So don't forget to check out both channels here. I'm Alex in the Chongqing temporary studio until I get back into my studio in the office. It's going to be an interesting week, that is for sure. It's been a long time since me and this awesome gentleman have shared screens here with you guys. It's going to be quite amazing, and it's going to be a fun show. We got lots to cover here. As you guys know, that this week is part of the 20th CPC National Congress here in China. Busy week for the Western media to kind of gear up that fear factor for everyone, huh? And Kurt's got some cool stuff that he's going to be reporting from Nanning as well. And I think a lot of you have questions for him. It's great that he's agreed to come on to the show and share screens with us. It's fantastic. And I just want to say a special thanks to a few of the moderators out there that will be moderating the show today. I'm sure we will have some interesting people chime in and chirp in on what we're about to talk to today. Special thanks to Ken. Nice to see you out here. The Quantum, nice to see you here. John, thanks for coming in. Hang as well. And I will be getting reports throughout the show that might be some breaking news. So we might go back and forth and look at some of the reports that are coming out of this very, very important day today here on the 18th of October in China. There are a lot of press conferences going on today. To be honest with you, there are 5 press conferences and 5 group interviews going on the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party here in China. So extremely busy week. But hey, I don't think you're just here to see me today, are you? You're going to be wanting to see Guelo 6. Now, I think he's going to sneak out and maybe stock up on his beverages for today's. I just seen him backstage there, stock up on his beverages for today's show. Let's see. William, thank you for joining. And Ken, thank you as well. We will answer all your questions if possible, if we have knowledge in that area, of course. But don't hold back on asking questions in the comment section. If you're new to the comment section, just say, hey, I'm new here. Introduce yourself to all the really fun people that are in the comment sections. And we really want you guys all to take part in that. I think Kurt, are you ready? Give me the thumbs up if you're ready, sir. No, he's not ready yet. Thumbs down yet. Okay. I have your microphone muted if that's what you're wondering. Okay. How are you doing, sir? I'm not sure if I can hear Kurt, but let's bring him on here. And you want me to bring you on, Kurt? Okay. Are you there, sir? Yes, you are. You are. Thank you for joining us, Kurt.
See,
Kurt, first of all, where are you coming in from on this live feed so we can tell the audience?
I'm on Vancouver Island in Nanaimo.
Okay. Vancouver Island in Nanaimo. Okay, here we are.
But I've got a lag here because I'm probably not in the right.
We don't have a lag. We to the audience, everything looks good here. Your screen looks good. You sound good. Everything's good. If you got the right mic hooked up, everything's cool, man. It's all good. Don't worry about it. You're looking good. You look like you're in Shanghai.
Well, I could be in Shanghai in an alternate universe. What are you drinking there, Alex?
I am drinking some fantastic Chinese tea. You should try it sometime.
you know that brings me to something. There was a news article today on Canadian news talking about Xi Jinping during his 2-hour talk to people, and he was drinking tea and he was clearing his throat. And there's speculation about, well, he must be sick. He might have COVID. He might have this or that or the other thing. But nobody ever says that to me when when I'm clearing my throat and drinking a fine British Columbia Merlot from the Lower Mainland. I don't understand it. So how come they make up all of these? It's like they want somebody to get sick or something bad to happen. It's an ongoing thing there. Oh, just a second here. I'm a little busy.
Right. Is that the new G60 Merlot collection or what?
Well, actually, no. I've got that in 2 other rooms because you got to have, after the first couple of weeks, it's got to go down in temperature when you're making your wines. And yes, I'm an avid wine maker here in Canada. So the first couple 2-3 weeks, it has to be at a higher temperature. So I've actually got a big primary fermenter in the living room, and Wei Feng is loving me for this because if anybody knows fermenting wine, it gives off a little bit of Wei Feng says you can get drunk just smelling it. So I don't know what she's talking about, but you know what I mean, eh?
Let's clear some of these comments off the board here. There's one from Mark here, and Mark, I think Kurt puts out his very special thanks for the contribution to his channel. Mark says, cheers from Toronto. When travel next, would love to tip some beers with Guelo.
Well, okay, there you are. And I'll open this sneaky weasel because I've got not only beer, but I've always got a beer or a wine and a beer close by. But you know what it is. You know me. I stayed at Alex's place in Thailand for a while. He knows exactly what it's like. It's one party after another, man.
So Cam 35 millimeter says, Alex, you need to get Daniel Dunbar on the stream. It would be the China Talk group again. Yes, we are in works on that. Just so you guys know, we currently are I'm currently in Chongqing here in pandemic measures at the moment. We have a special letter from our community leader here actually this morning. And let me read you this letter. It's quite fantastic. And the responses here have been amazing. Even with a small outbreak on how they deal with things. I don't care what the Western media has to say about the dynamic COVID policy. I don't care. I live in China. I'm happy with the measures that are in place here. Yes, some things go wrong in all cities. I mean, especially when you got monster cities of 20 to 30 million people. Yes, some people aren't going to get their groceries. Some people are going to be mad. Some people will want to go to their vacation home and not stay in that neighborhood. Anyway, I've been in we'll call it a partial lockdown for about 10 days here. Okay, so what happens in the lockdowns here? I think I've told you guys, my audience, over the last week here. Not much changes, except you just got to take it easy. And let me read you the report from the community leaders here in this area. Oh, it's in Chinese here, but let me just translate it from my phone here. I thought it was quite cute, Kurt. The communication during this small outbreak here in Chongqing has been absolutely off the charts. I've never seen communication like this before from any government in the world, let alone this is a community that is reaching out to contact us. Day one of the partial lockdown here was, do you have groceries? If not, there's the number. People were calling us. Are you guys okay? Do you know where to go get your free daily tested? The same ones that costed me $150 to get tested in Thailand. Okay. And let me just read you here. Fellow residents, since October 8th, our streets have been tested by one of the most severe, complex, and tight outbreaks since COVID-19. Under the strong leadership of the district party committee and the government and the strong support of its residents, it took only 7 days to achieve the social zero and achieve the stage victory. This is a little translation, but I love the words actually. The stage victory of the round of the epidemic prevention and control. What more can you ask for, Kurt? Come on. I mean, did I mute you there? You got to unmute yourself, Kurt. Unmute, sir. Unmute, sir.
Oh, so all the time that you're doing this, I'm trying to figure out how to get my channel and this one working together, so one isn't talking over the other. And I did it. I did it.
Did you? Okay, yeah. Congratulations.
So you've been basically in quarantine for the last week or so.
Well, I mean, we had an outbreak locally here, not in the whole city, in one district here, in Yubei district. And then even they kind of condensed it even more in the area. So in reality, we'll call it maybe a 2 kilometer by 2 kilometer area. I mean, I can still go out and get groceries and walk around. And I mean,
so you're still okay in your little section of the city.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. See, in Nanning, like we keep track of what's going on in Nanning, and I sent you a clip earlier today.
Oh yeah, okay.
Or last night when you were sleeping, and it was bus after bus after bus after bus, and these are all people going into quarantine in Nanning City. So there's some places where it's really prevalent in China, where they do still take it very seriously.
Sure. Do you want me to play this clip? Do we know what this clip is saying?
Play this clip, and we'll watch it, and then we'll get back to talking in a bit.
哎呦，你好啊！長江嶺啊，金牛橋，我有公共汽車拉啲人去隔離。 一邊啊封晒啦，一邊全部封晒。
Well, okay, that's the clip.
So you see, like, and actually that's right close to one of my most favorite dim sum places in all of Nanning City. It's like the amazing dim sum, and Tango Pei and Wei Fong and I would go there with a bottle of baijiu at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we'd drink baijiu and eat dim sum till about noon. And then Wei Fong would go this way, and Tango Pei and I would go this way, and we'd go over to his place and drink some more baijiu. It was a Saturday tradition. But the difference between China and Canada, where I live right now, there, how do I say this? Back before February, when I came back to Canada, China had no restrictions, none. Like we lived in a world of basically no restrictions from the time COVID hit. There were areas like what you're in right now that that got secluded from the rest, to a quarantine type setup. But now it seems to have flipped the other way, where China's going through the quarantines on a regular basis, where China's maybe not, I'm not going to say overplaying, because I really don't know, because I haven't been there for a little bit. But here in the Western world, things are wide open, like they were in China. Well, when everything was pretty well closed down, shut down, people were going to school, people were going to work, people were basically doing anything. The government was handing out millions and billions of dollars to the people, because we all know that Westerners aren't savers like the Chinese and stuff. So you sort of seen that flip. And I talked with Matt from Jio Nation a while ago about this, saying, well, China's basically locked down. There's no COVID here. There's no immunity being built up like maybe in the Western world. So what's going to happen in the future? And I think that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. And it's also a strategy here where I feel that we'll call it the slow boil, where they don't want things to get out of control here. They're going to continue to keep these measures in. I know the world is saying that they are draconian COVID measures, but let me remind you of some other countries that come to light here. We are seeing cases continue to go through, not COVID cases, but criminal cases go through the Canadian courts in regards to the lockdowns. And these cases are actually brought in to the authorities. There are cases where civilians are suing the actual police for over policing in parts of the world, especially Australia, which had a 262-day lockdown. I believe Hang actually just put that number, if I can't recall here. Yeah, 266 days, and Buenos Aires had a 250-day lockdown. Now, I'm sure that that doesn't include grocery delivery, which they do here in China to make sure that you're okay. But this is a country that doesn't matter what 186 other countries around the world who have had a failed COVID policy. And if you say, well, it's open, it's wide open, everything is back to normal. Well, is it? Minus 1 million people and 90 million people who have died in the United States. Is it back to normal? Ask those families that lost loved ones, or ask those families that are dealing with long COVID. Is it back to normal? Or is it, let's just let it rip? Is that the new back to normal? Kurt, over to you.
But well, true. You look at Australia, where they wouldn't even allow their own citizens back into the country for months and months and months. And you see, at least Canada, they would let you back into the country, but there was no Air Canada. So you know the story. That's why I ended up on your doorstep. Well, Air Canada canceled Wei Fong's and my flight 3 times in a row. So we just basically gave up and just stayed where we are. And it was probably the best idea to stay in Southeast Asia and then go back to China during that time period, because there were no restrictions. As I say, there was no COVID, there was no restrictions. The world was really good at that time in China. It seems to have flipped on its ear a little bit though lately. But I'm not in the country right now, so I rely on people like you to tell me what it's really like. we get a lot out of WeChat. Like, Wei Fong talks to her friends, and I know I have a bunch of people in China that I talk to on a regular basis too. But being there is living it, and you're living it right now, right?
Yeah, I think there's a common understanding here. Yeah, the economy is going to pay a price. Anybody with any logic can understand that, of course, the economy is going to pay a price. That's a difficult decision to make.
That's another
again,
thing to blame China for. Well, China locks down, so this is wrecking our economy. Well, it's got nothing to do with what they've done and what they haven't done over the last couple of years.
As you know, Kurt, it's been a busy week here in China. All eyes have been on Xi Jinping here and the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China. I would just like to chime in on a few little news clips that I gathered this morning together to see how the international media is focusing on China. Now, I'm sure the international media has been very fair and very balanced towards the conversations that we've had here, of course, on our channels over the last couple of days. But also, they have been very fair to the leadership of the Chinese Communist Party. And let's see how the Western media has portrayed the last couple of days and what key points that they are focusing in on. Okay, everyone? Let's have a look here.
The need for a stronger Chinese military, and he also warned of dangerous storms ahead. He didn't name the United States, but he did allude to tough times that face China with competition and the possibility of confrontation with the United States.
So do I need to replay that again? He didn't mention the United States, but let's listen to this one more time. Let's listen to this one more time. I mean, this is interesting. Let's listen to this one more time.
Xi Jinping mentioned security and safety more than 70 times. He pumped up the need for a stronger Chinese military. And he also warned of dangerous storms ahead. He didn't name the United States.
Okay. He didn't name the United States, but here it comes, guys. Here it is. This is what you guys have to identify in these Western medias. Here it comes. So the talking head said he didn't name the United States, but
he did allude to tough times that face China with competition and the possibility of confrontation with the United States.
But he did allude to the possibility of confrontation with the United States. Where is the integrity of these international reporters? I don't know, but let's continue on with the clip here.
And along with the warning that China would use force.
Along with the warning that China would use force. Here we go. Here we go, Kurt. Let's play it a little bit more and let's chime in on this.
He praised China's response to the COVID pandemic, which relies on massive widespread lockdowns. And she emphasized the need to become more adept at deploying China's military on a regular basis and for the military to be prepared for major challenges.
This idea of refusing to...
Now, this guy, Christopher Johnson, president and CEO and China Strategy Group. This guy has been paraded all around Western media over the last couple of days. Real interesting. I wonder who is funding the China Strategies Group. If any of you guys want to have a look up on the internet, I'm pretty certain that all arrows will point to an interesting funder of that organization. And what on earth is the China Strategy Group anyway? All right. Well, we know that there is a massive $300 million annual fund for anti-China rhetoric. Let's continue to listen to the international's media viewpoints of the last couple of days with professionals and President and CEO Christopher Johnson of the China Strategy Group.
To promise not to renounce the use of force. That said, he made it conditional in the words that followed that basically said that threat of potential military force toward Taiwan, that is dependent upon whether external forces, as he called it, meaning the United States, to continue to interfere in Taiwan.
Now, Taiwan comes up, and let's see, is there going to be a Putin quote or a Ukraine quote to this? I don't know. You think, Kurt?
Let's see.
Let's see. I don't know.
and or actions by the authorities on Taiwan that make moves toward Taiwan independence. So in my view, what he was signaling is that, at least from his point of view, and therefore the leadership's point of view, they still see a potential conflict with Taiwan as a crisis to be avoided rather than an opportunity to be seized.
And who knows how that actions from outsiders, mainly the U.S., how he'll define that. I mean, if you look at what Putin uses to argue for Ukraine, I mean, it's really nil.
Yeah. There.
Yeah, but this is CBS. This is a Canadian broadcasting service. This is government funded to the tune of $600 million. You have to understand. This is like Epic Times or New Tang Dynasty or China Uncensored, or the same people write this garbage
Clown
for
show.
everybody.
Yeah, clown show. But let's hear it one more time.
And who knows how that actions from outsiders, mainly the U.S., how he'll define that. I mean, if you look at what Putin uses to argue for Ukraine, I mean, it's really nil.
Yeah.
Xi Jinping is about to take his place in history, set to secure power here for a groundbreaking third term. Addressing the Communist Party Congress,
我们必须增强
be ready to withstand high winds, choppy waters, and even dangerous storms, he warned, of tough times ahead. Xi mentioned security or safety dozens of times. The biggest applause when he declared Taiwan will be part of mainland China, even if it means taking the self-governed island by force.
What?
Yeah, well,
what?
You could. We've heard it all before. You know, this is an ongoing thing in the world.
I get it. But where's the integrity of these people?
Well, they have no integrity because people pay them to do this. It's how does that go? Whoever gives these people money, that's their agenda. They're going to say what the people that give them money want them to say, and that's just the way it is.
Can we watch it?
Journalism is no more. It's more political journalism.
Congress,
you can't even use journalism in there.
I've got to play this end to, and one more time, everybody. I mean, just for hysterical value. Here, let's have a listen. Listen to the words.
Xi Jinping is about to take his place in history, set to secure power here for a groundbreaking third term. Addressing the Communist Party Congress,
我们必须增强
be ready to withstand high winds, choppy waters, and even dangerous storms, he warned, of tough times ahead. Xi mentioned security or safety dozens of times.
Oh my. He mentioned safety and security a dozen times.
Yeah, well, you know,
Ooh.
and
he,
you know, the idea that Xi Jinping is going for his third term in places like, well, let's take Canada for instance. They call him a dictator. Well,
strong grip on the ruling party
because he is going on a third term now. But what about Canada and Trudeau? That's a third term. You can in Britain you can have as many terms as you want. The only place that I know of, there could be others, but the only place I know of is the United States where you can only do 2 terms. So should the rest of the world adopt the American way, or should they? You know, it makes no sense. A dictator because he's 3 terms. Well, so.
Well, let's listen to the end. I love these. Here, just carefully listen to the words of these people, everyone. I just want you to carefully listen to the words here. And this script is written either by somebody who is just angry, upset. I would be angry and upset too if my government was sending billions of dollars across the world and not dealing with other local things like homelessness and stuff in the country and unemployment. But let's hear this again here.
Biggest applause when he declared Taiwan will be part of mainland China.
Now, that's an interesting comment. I want to stop it right there where he's saying, where the newscaster, the talking head, is saying that he's declaring Taiwan as part of China. whoever's talking about this should educate themselves, because that is a very clear message, even in a UN resolution and by Jimmy Carter in 1979. It's been very clear on that point. Let's continue to listen.
Even if it means taking the self-governed island by force.
Taking the self-governed island by force. You know, I was live streaming the other day, and I heard that comment come through, and I said, that's the only one the media is going to focus on. That's all they're going to focus on. They want confrontation. The military-industrial complex, the collective West, they want this more than anything to follow up the mess that they've done in Ukraine right now. I mean, if you guys don't understand how bad things are getting in Europe right now, I'm sure a few people are watching from Europe. All you have to do is look at what's going on in France with gas shortages. I think it's 1 in 3 French gas stations are out of gas. They're out of gas. Let's see if we can pull up the story here. There's also nationwide. Yes, let's pull up this story to show you guys what I'm talking about. Let me just find it here. And I can't wait to get back into the office where I'll have my team that's going to help me out here, because it's a lot of stuff to cover, guys. So just bear with me while I'm trying to pull up these stories. And as you guys know, once again, we will have a full new studio coming up here in the next few weeks from Chongqing. Okay, let's have a look here.
Across France. With thousands of demonstrators marching through Paris on Sunday, the rising cost of living top of a long list of grievances.
I am here today because I am angry. I am angry because everything is going wrong. Public services, mistreatment at work, super profits that are not taxed. We have many reasons to be here today, and a government that doesn't listen to us, that continues to favour the same people and that asks for effort from the same people. At some point, this has to stop.
Sunday's demonstration, which in some parts turned ugly, comes on the back of mass strikes at many of the country's refineries as workers demand a pay rise. The situation has left around 1 in 3 of France's gas pumps dry, with motorists seen queuing for hours to try and get petrol as tensions run high, with some drivers seen jumping the line.
They have made a lot of profit, and it's normal that the employees demand their dues. Some people say they're already earning a lot. The problem is not there. It's a question of purchasing power. It's not because we earn 2,000 euros per month that our purchasing power should decrease. What we want is for everyone to live decently with the purchasing power we had before.
Prime Minister Elizabeth Bourne has stepped in, using emergency powers in a bid to force refinery employees back to work. Also announcing a government fuel rebate will be extended into November after it was set to expire at the end of the month. All this as unions are calling for a nationwide strike on Tuesday, which analysts say could be the crunch point in this tug of war.
So when the French strike, I'm going to tell you, living in the south of France in Monaco for almost 20 years here, when they strike, they strike. And this is just one example. That's we're seeing protests that went on in Holland. We're seeing them go on in Germany, Belgium, the United Kingdom. Many countries continue, as we may even see the third prime minister in the United Kingdom here in under 6 months. People are mad, Kurt. People are mad.
Well, you see, and it all comes down to the politics of what's going on around the world right now. You know, the Americans try to put a cap on Russian oil and what they can charge, and you can't pay more than that. As Russia sort of pivots from Europe over to the Asian market and sells record numbers of barrels of oil to places like India and China, where you've got basically half of the world's population. What it comes down to is they really don't need Europe. They pivoted to Europe back a number of years ago because Europe had more money, had more resources. They were the have people in the world. the times are changing. You're seeing China be one of the most influential countries in the world. You know, the purchase parity power, they have more going on than the United States, the richest country in the world. And Europe is sort of taking second seat. But then again, you look at the difference between the trade between the United States and Europe and the trade between China and Europe. China is the biggest trading partner of the European Union at this point. So things are starting to pivot, and the political decisions that these governments are making right now is hurting the people because of ideology. Oh, we don't like this, so we're going to try to hurt these people as much as we possibly can. And while they do that, they're hurting their own people even more, because you see it in Europe. It's going to be a cold winter and there's not going to be a lot of gas there.
You know, I agree with you. And it's also that, you know, I don't like to see conflicts anywhere in the world. Having a grandfather and I think we might have a live feed coming up here. One sec. Sorry, Kurt, to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Possibly. Okay, it doesn't matter. Anyway, we'll come to it as soon as I get indication from my crew that we have a live feed. I'll come back to you on that. But anyway, discussing the fuel costs and stuff and the wars. I mean, no one likes confrontation. I don't. My father, who served in the Navy, and my grandfather, who died in the Second World War in the Atlantic. Listen, when you see the cost of natural gas now going 4 times up in Europe because they've been shut off, or we'll call it maybe the lines have been sabotaged, or maybe for political reasons.
Geez,
or maybe,
I wonder who did it.
Right. So when, and it's not to say, you know, taking sides on conflict. I don't think anybody that's watching this program would like to be involved in any conflict. But let's look at from a geopolitical standpoint and common sense here. And this is what's really dividing a lot of people, because you have a lot of people that are let's use the Americans for an example. You have two major parties there, the Democrats and the Republicans. Well, when you bring up the Russian situation, it's really starting to divide, especially the people that are Republican, because in one sense they want, you know, to have a prosperous, good economy. Then in the other sense, they're seeing the current government that is making bad deals. I mean, let's be realistic here. You don't go off and shut off your main supplier and then tell your main supplier, we're going to dictate the price, and then tell your main supplier, it doesn't matter, we've got everything sorted. Now, my mother has been in the oil and gas business when she was a power engineer for many years. These pipelines sometimes take decades to build, okay? They take years to connect, to get environment protection, certification, so they can, you know, then there's land disputes. I mean, they might announce a pipeline and then 10 years later it's ready, or 7 years later, depending on what country it is, what environmental controls are in there. So what happens now is Europe has been convinced that America will sell them natural gas at the same rate of what they were getting it from Russia. Well, France has quoted already, Google it, it's 4 times the amount landed cost, because it's got to be shipped by container all the way across the oceans to land in Europe. And we're seeing it now at the pumps. We're seeing it at the refineries. Sure, the oil companies are making huge. I mean, I think it was Total or either one of the other major in France paid $8 billion in dividends in the last quarter. And yes, it's big money, everyone. But look at the geopolitical landscape here and focus your arrows on why 28 countries that are part of the European Union, or 27, depends if you're at, it's, I don't know where it is, 27 maybe, guys, you can tell me how many countries are in the European Union. I know the UK is out of there, but they're still kind of quoting like they're in there. But
mathematician -1.
But you can include countries that have been elected soon to be part of the European Union. I don't know if you knew 2 weeks ago that they're kind of a mini European Union, a group of 12 countries that are waiting to become part of the European Union. Anyway, let's call it 27. Okay, guys. Where's the diplomatic channels in these countries? Not one country wants to sit down at the table and negotiate diplomacy. Not one. Why? Why not? Where are they? Where's the diplomatic channels, Kurt? Where's Canada? Hey, let's sit down at the table. Let's work it out because
the Canadians are worried about the Americans because 75% of our economy relies on sales to the United States market. So we're not going to create. Well, there is a bit of a pushback. The woke mayor, what is the name? Stewart. The woke mayor of Vancouver was beaten by Ken Sim, the first Chinese Canadian mayor of Vancouver in history. Long way from 135 years of head taxes and exclusion acts against Chinese people. Now Vancouver, which is known as Hongcouver in a lot of circles around the world, has a mayor that is a Chinese person.
Wow.
And he's going to hire more health workers, mental health workers. He's going to hire 100 more police officers because he has a sort of a tough love. So he got even Vancouver, probably the most wokest area in all of Canada, is getting rid of their woke mayor and going for a harder core mayor, somebody that actually will do something for the city. And that person is a Chinese person.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, is that strange or what?
Very interesting. Let's answer a couple more questions here. John thought Chongqing was a business for promoting tourism. Absolutely, we are. And we also have cultural, business, international exchange, news, and special reports, and also coverage of the 20th Natural Congress of the CPC. Basically, we are everything under one stop. And thank you for acknowledging that we are a great organization. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, John. And thanks for tuning in and chiming in the chat group here. I'm going to bring in another story that Kurt has sent me before the show. And I just want to once again thank my team here at iChongqing, the team that I collaborate with. We make a lot of cool, fun videos and in tourism, and also a lot of other really fun video on general things that are going on in China. In the future, we got some exciting documentaries coming out, and we pretty much cover everything. Thanks, Ken. I think Ken is going to come and say hi. We look forward to that. Maybe we'll get Kurt over here at the same time. That would be great. Okay, so while we were preparing for the show today, Kurt actually brought to my attention this mayor of Vancouver, which is quite an extraordinary story because in the press in Canada, especially in Vancouver, and hear me out on this, okay? When I used to live in Vancouver, everyone was very happy around 1986 Expo time. And that's when Li Ka-shing came in and purchased a big piece of land. Everybody thought he was crazy. They said, this guy is nuts. He's dropped $200 million on this piece of land that Expo used. It's riddled with old gas stations. The ground is, polluted. What's this guy? And they were calling him a clown. What's this guy going to do with this piece of property? Well, my, oh my. That property now is in the multi-billion dollars of worth. It's Concordia Pacific. It's a massive company that has built hundreds and redefined the landscape in Vancouver, made it one of the most prosperous cities and one of the hottest real estate markets in the world. Now, a lot of Canadians, and this is to the Canadians that go out there that complain when I've heard this over and over again, and I'm sure you have, Kurt. The Chinese come in and they just drive up the prices. They drive up the prices. It's the Chinese fault. The real estate market is so hot. Well, let's think about this for a second. One, you have people that are saying the Chinese can't afford anything. That's one. Oh, the Chinese, they don't make money. They're poor. They can't buy anything. Okay, well, they're buying some of the most prestigious real estate in the world. Okay, so that fact check has gone out the window. Number two is it's terrible. They're buying homes and they're not really moving into these homes. Okay, well, how is it destroying your neighborhood then if no one's really living there, but they're maintaining the garden and the yard? And they're paying taxes. They're paying taxes, property taxes into your school system where they're just buying it for an investment purpose. Yeah, but they're driving up the price. And it makes it impossible for the average Canadians to buy. Well, wait a moment here. Back up. Let's have a real thought of this. Who sold these homes, Kurt? Canadians.
Well, I did.
Right? Right?
Yes.
Some Canadians have made millions and millions of dollars selling their properties
and
to the
paid
Chinese.
No capital gains because they've probably lived in it for more than 6 months.
Yeah. So when Canadians turn around, and I have a good friend of mine who bought a property in North Vancouver for about $400,000, $300,000, a little over 20 some years ago, and it's worth $6.5 million. And he says to me, I can't stand this. The real estate prices are going up. My daughter can't buy a house. Well, why not sell that $6.5 million property? Give $1.5 million to your daughter and tell her to go retire.
Well, and the idea that these people but there's a flip side to this coin, and there always is, because these people had bought it for $300,000. Now it's worth $6.5 million. If you're paying your taxes are based between 1 and 1.5% per year of your net worth of your property, boy, that's a good chunk of change out of your pocket to just pay your taxes, eh? You know what I mean?
Lee, this is Lee. This is good. Is Guelo 60 interviewing Alex? He's talking nonstop. You got to remember that Kurt and I. It was funny. A few years ago, just before the pandemic, I reached out.
He's from Moose Jaw.
when I met Kurt on YouTube, he said, oh, there's a. I'll come to Thailand for a few days, meet you, because he was coming through Malaysia, Thailand at the time. Well, this guy ended up staying with me for how many months? 4 months?
No, it wasn't. It was like 6 or 7 weeks. You couldn't get rid of me because, like, it's Bangkok. Well, you did. We went down to Pattaya, but then we're staying at your place in Pattaya too. So whatever.
Yeah. Oh man. So anyway, let's bring up that news clip that you sent me. This is quite a cool news clip. Let me find it. Where is it? And it's interesting. You can tell the audience as well what they, what the average person in the West Coast of Canada is thinking of this. It's quite extraordinary to see.
It's about time.
I agree with you. I mean, it's
our left-wing leaning politicians and world, hugging trees only goes so far. Now, I think it's starting to switch over to more of a middle to right wing, because people are fed up. They're tired of shaking their head and saying, "Oh, someday it's going to get better." Now they're voting for better, and they're voting for harder. They're voting for tougher. They want more policing. They want less drug use. They want less homeless people. Yeah. They want less crime. It's getting rampant, and you've seen it not only in Canada, in the western part of Canada, Lower Mainland and Vancouver Island, but all down the Pacific coast in the United States. Why is the crime here? Because it brings the homeless. It brings the people that are addicted to drugs. Homeless, it means a lot of times mental problems and stuff like that. Well, it's warmer here. You can live here in the wintertime. You're not going to freeze your ass off on the streets of Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, or Brandon, Manitoba. So we have more of a problem here in this area. And I think that the people are starting to say, well, we have to do something about it. We have to vote the people in that make a difference, that have the policies that are gonna fix this, rather than the woke left wing policies that we've had over the last 15 or 20 years that have basically created the problem.
Let's play this story here, and let's fire away on it. Let's roll it. Here we go.
Tonight, Ken Sim, who ran against him in 2018, now successful in his bid for mayor. City News VJ Monica Gould is at Sim's party tonight. Monica, how's it? You've been there all night. Ken Sim supporters have been celebrating the win. What's the mood like at the Sim headquarters right now?
Right, it's slowly starting to die down, as these things usually do eventually. People slowly trickling out, but it's still, they got the music going. I'm still having a little trouble hearing you, and there's still quite a few people here mingling, just soaking in the wind. Earlier, it was really full, very loud. The crowd erupted when Sim was declared the mayor of Vancouver by media outlets. People cheering him on when he came in. Chanting ABC, which is, of course, a nod to the party, ABC Party, the platform that he sort of ran under. During his speech, he spoke about the long journey it took to get here. Many will remember the last election in 2018. He lost to Stewart by less than 1,000 votes. Sim also spoke of him being the first mayor of Vancouver of Asian heritage.
Fantastic.
And he also mentioned that his ABC Party is now the largest municipal party in BC. Tonight, not only did they get the mayor's seat, but they also have a majority in council, in park board, and also in school board. So a huge win, and will help him get things done. That was something Stewart struggled with. He was accused by opponents of not getting enough things done in City Hall. He blamed that on the pandemic and not having a majority. That does not appear to be the case for Sim. Now, Sim recently spoke to media just moments ago, and I asked him about one of his biggest promises during this election campaign, which was to hire 100 police officers and 100 nurses on his first day of office. Here's what he said.
I think it's going to be the first day of office. I don't know what the protocol is. Like, it might be ceremonial on November 7th. But very soon thereafter, one of the first things we will do is we will put a requisition in with the Vancouver Police Department to start the hiring process.
Now, tonight is all about the celebration. He's going to get to work soon. He's not quite the mayor of Vancouver just yet. A few weeks left of Stewart's term and for the transition to happen. But he will be mayor as of early November. Here.
It's about time.
There you have it. It's about time.
It's about time. You can only put up with this shit for so long before you have to do something. And if it takes more public funds, well, so be it. Have you seen, what was that? Vancouver's burning?
Oh, yeah. It's just...
Well,
yeah, to get my head around that is pretty...
How would you love to have a condo in that area of the city?
I did, Kurt. I did own a condo in downtown Vancouver.
Good thing you sold it, eh?
Yes, but let me tell you, for the audience here that think that this is, there should be no surprise that Vancouver has a new mayor now. There should be absolutely no surprise.
No, none at all.
Crime is out of control. People have asked me why I left Canada. Why did you leave Canada? It's a beautiful country. Canada, best passport in the world. I left Canada. Well, Vancouver, I'll call it at the time. Other places in Canada, fantastic. Vancouver, crime-ridden, drug-ridden, out of control, homelessness all over the streets. And no one did anything except maybe legalize harder drugs. And it became outrageous. My car was broken into. And this just isn't pointing the fingers at the criminal. This is pointing the fingers at bad planning from the city. When housing prices go up, You need to instill programs for people that can adapt to rising house prices, whether it's subsidies, whether it's caring about the natural person or why these people are on the streets. This is the one thing that I really noticed about when I live in China, is that there is responsibility, respect from the bottom to the top, from the top all the way to the bottom. No one really gets left behind here. And if they are left behind, Kurt, people will hold other people accountable.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Done.
Accountable. If you're doing something wrong in China, you'll be held responsible for it. It seems like there's nobody responsible for anything anymore here in Canada, unless you have money. If somebody's got a needle in their arm doing heroin or whatever, and you drive by them speeding by 5 kilometers an hour, the police will stop you and give you a fine because you can pay the fine. They won't touch the drug addict because he got no money. You know what I mean? Like the system is broken to that point where it's all about making funds for their police department, for their city, for their, it's not about protecting people anymore. It's about finances, capitalism. It's different. You see, in China, you don't see the homeless people. There's no tents on the streets. There's no homeless encampments. There's no drugs. I'm sure there is drugs, but it's not it's not legalized by the federal government. It's not everywhere. It's not, you don't walk into a park and see needles laying on the ground all over the place. Here you do.
I wonder what the media is going to say about having Ken in power going in November. I mean, are they going to?
He's gonna take it on the chin a little bit to begin with, but if he does a good job, I think they'll get used to having a Chinese mayor.
It's complicated to really explain to the audience here about this "no one is left behind" approach here, because we're so used to seeing governments make promises, then break them, make them and then break them, or say billions of dollars is being funneled into helping that, but it never really is helpful. You can see some of the models that have worked. Singapore, for example, good luck even trying to get into that country with drugs. Coming off an air, I don't know if our audience is aware of this, but if you catch an bubblegum is also outlawed too, yeah. But if you come off an airplane and you land in Singapore airport, it's very clear. First is, if you have anything on you, any narcotics or anything, please put them in the bin while you're even on the airplane. You walk another 50 meters, it says, okay, we told you to get whatever you have, put it in this bin. And they give you 2 or 3 times to make sure that you're either reminded or you don't forget or you understand the law very clearly. And that last gate when you get up to passport control is, if you have anything, get rid of it now or face the firing squad. And it's a miracle of what has happened in Singapore over the last 30 years. They've cleaned up that business. And yes, it's right. You're right there. It's a death sentence in Singapore for owning drugs.
Yes.
It works.
But it's the same thing in Vietnam, and same thing in Laos. It's the same thing in Cambodia and China. It's a Malaysian and Indonesian policy. It's that whole entire area of the world is the same way.
This is an interesting point here. So dangerous to say a Chinese mayor because it makes it sound like his allegiance lies with the PRC, which I highly doubt is true.
His ideology is Chinese. If his parents were Chinese and his grandparents were Chinese, and he's brought up in that manner with those values, those social values, living. If you've ever been to Richmond in Vancouver, you walk into a mall in the middle of the winter, and there's dancing aunties in the mall. There's dim sum restaurants. There's a vibrant Chinese community. So to say, I can see where that comment comes from, just for the fact that it seems like it has something to do with the Chinese government. But I'm half Norwegian and half Irish. I have nothing to do with the Norwegian government and Irish government. And see, that's the propaganda working on you to put that in your mind, because if they're Chinese, they've got something to do with the Chinese government. It's not that way. Just like Alex, where are you from? Where are your ancestors from?
Exactly. England, Wales.
Well, exactly. And are you making propaganda for that government? Obviously not. But you see, but when it's Chinese, because you've been peltered with Chinese anti-Chinese propaganda. You've been your country has had exclusion acts that only excludes Chinese from immigrating to Canada. You've had head taxes that only Chinese were head taxed. Now, when you talk about a Chinese mayor, well, it sounds like he's part of the Chinese government. Well, none of these people are part of the Chinese government. They are individuals, and they should be treated as such.
You know, he was born in, I believe, Vancouver. I'm just reading his bio here, and let's take Wikipedia with a grain of salt here. He does reside in Kitsilano. Kitsilano is a very prestige area in Vancouver. So obviously very clear that this guy, if you own a home in Kitsilano, you don't, I mean, if you're an owner of it and it's paid off, you're pretty much okay for the rest of your life. But why he seeks office is very interesting. And this quote is from himself. Sim resides in Kitsilano with his wife and 4 sons. He has said that his children not seeing a future for themselves was a primary reason why he wanted to go into politics. Very interesting quote. And congratulations to Ken for winning that election. I know the first time he tried, he did lose, as you said, Kurt, by less than 1,000 votes. This time, I think the people have spoken.
Well, I think you're seeing a different balance in the Vancouver area, in the Lower Mainland, for sure, because it's not just the Chinese voters that are voting for Ken. It's the East Asian voters that are voting for Ken. You got places like Surrey, and you've got this whole area is inundated with immigrants from around the world, and the status quo of the way it used to be has changed, and this is the tipping point of when it has changed.
Kurt, here's a question on the screen for you here. Hey, Kurt, when do you guys come back to Guangxi Autonomous Region?
I don't know. That all depends on Wei Feng's doctors and stuff, but it could be as quick as this winter if things straighten out. With we don't want to do the quarantines. Airfare to China right now is very expensive. I just did a video about this not too long ago. Thinking about it, if we don't go back to China, we're probably going to either do Arizona, Costa Rica, or Belize. I would rather go home to China and get my stuff in order back there. But if we can't do that, yeah, we're heading south. But we got to get to someplace warm this winter, because, like, my God, it gets ugly here in the wintertime. It really never freezes here, because we're in the warmest place in all of Canada on Vancouver Island, in Nanaimo. It's the perfect spot, but it rains, it gets windy, and it's damp. You know what I mean? And yeah, as soon as
Kurt,
we can get,
Kurt, I'm gonna let you answer this next comment here. This one's geared towards me. You're gonna love it. It comes up on the screen. I'm actually speechless on this one. Obviously,
so Alex is from UK. No wonder drug is okay to him. He should feed his family drugs first. UK, which forced China to legalize opium for trade and feed for the Chinese, which ended up in opium. Yes, Alex is a limey from Liverpool. Liverpool moose jaw that's right beside Regina. That sounds like vagina, and Liverpool vagina, they're both body parts. So maybe it might be. See, that's how much sense this comment made. You know what I mean? Lee,
That's funny.
Alex is from
I'm
Saskatchewan,
from Canada, Lee,
He's
I don't
never lived
condone
in
any
the UK.
drugs.
Well, you might have lived in the UK. Well, no, you never lived in the UK. But thank you for your comment, and maybe you're gonna have to figure it out. Like, good luck with that, man.
Your camera's froze, Kurt.
And I thought I drank a lot.
Let's your camera froze. I'm gonna let you try to work that out backstage. And Kurt, do you still have the link? Oh, there you are. You're back. Okay, great. So, okay, I want to add something to this story since we're talking about Guangxi Autonomous Region. That actually was brought up yesterday, Kurt, in the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China. This was actually brought up yesterday, where President Xi Jinping joined the discussion with the Guangxi delegation. I know you haven't viewed this, but I thought that my team brought it to my attention that you should view this because it's quite interesting. Let's have a look.
Xi Jinping mentioned security and safety more than 70 times.
Let's have a look here. Okay, now I just want to go back to what the media, Western media, this is how the Western media projected Sunday's event again. One more time.
For a stronger Chinese military, and he also warned of dangerous storms ahead. He didn't name the United States, but he did allude to tough times that faced.
So once again, that is setting up, the Western media to come out and be so anti-China. And you see, that resonates in people who have opinions of China here, Kurt. And it's very, very dangerous when you see stuff like that happen. Let's go to another very interesting news piece here. I'm going to pull it up for you guys to watch. And I think this, Kurt, you can maybe talk to us about his comments here about the Guangxi delegation. Okay, here we go.
Okay, but Alex, I don't know whether it's me or you're breaking up.
From Guangxi, Xi Jinping said the Chinese people should stay united as, quote, a piece of hard steel under the leadership of the Communist Party and work together in advancing a campaign of national rejuvenation. He said it's important to understand the 20th National Congress report, which he delivered at the opening session on Sunday. 5 delegates shared their views on the report during the discussion, and all delegates said the report has proposed new thoughts, strategies, and measures for the CPC's second centenary goal, building China into a great modern socialist nation in all respects. She said he was pleased to join in their discussion and extended greetings to all party members and people from all walks of life in the Guangxi region. He spoke highly on efforts to promote ethnic unity, social stability, and border security. He said Guangxi sets a good example of the party's ethnic policies and system of regional ethnic autonomy. He also praised the achievements made in poverty alleviation, economic reforms, environmental protection, and quality of life. He reiterated that China has made many breakthroughs over the past decade in the face of numerous challenges. She said this is proof of the effectiveness of the CPC Central Committee's major policies, principles, plans, and decisions. He finally urged party committees and officials in Guangxi to lead in promoting high-quality development of its border areas with large ethnic minority groups, boost eco-friendly development, and safeguard national security. Wang Hao, CGT.
Well, there you go, Kurt. And that was a nice little video spotted by one of my colleagues, Galway. Thank you for that. He's also a subscriber to your channel. And the moment that came up, he sent that to me and said, hey.
Smart boy, yes.
You want to comment on that?
Well, the idea that Xi Jinping goes to Guangxi Autonomous Region, Zong Autonomous Region, and talks about border security, because we have borders with Vietnam. We've got the South China Sea. We've got, there are problems there, and I actually did a video on the border about that at one time. And you've got to understand the Guangxi Autonomous Region, Zhong Autonomous Region, has basically been one of the poorest areas of China up until just recently. Now it's the center of the Asian conglomeration of countries, and the trade that goes on between those. So it's getting richer. It's getting more influential in the Chinese world, because it is part of the Belt and Road Initiative in the seafaring way. So getting more recognition from central government in Beijing is a good thing. Getting more investment in that area is a good thing. And border security is always a good thing in any country. I support border security in the United States on Mexico. I very much support border security against the United States and Canada. You never caught that, but whatever.
I did catch it, but I'm just thinking, how far are they going to, my grandmother always said, sometimes people are stretching the truth here. His comments, every move that he makes are always criticized, and we are seeing micro criticized. You're right. I mean, one of the active viewers here, has also said that, they're counting how many times he says peace, counting how many times he says this. I mean, to what extent, are they going to actually take the foot off the gas here and give this guy a break?
Well, they'll never do that. But then again, you got to look at the other side of the thing, when Biden goes off into one of his rampages and doesn't say 3 words that are legible, then well, you know what I mean. So every individual, yourself as being a YouTube personality, and myself being a YouTube personality, we get micro criticized on everything we say. You said that. Oh, you did a video 3 years ago that says this, and now you're saying something different in this video. Like you never grow, you never. So it's the same thing. Only Xi Jinping is micromanaged to the max, because he's the leader of the largest populated country in the world. Not only that, but it has the biggest purchase power to parity in the world. It has the biggest navy. It has the biggest manufacturing. It has the most nuclear plants in production. It has the most quantum computers. It has, if you get into a position like that, where there's so much going on there, and he's the leader of all of these people, well, you got to be under the microscope. If he wasn't, there'd be something wrong.
Quite interesting. And a lot of quotes that they're pulling from this show have I'm going to call it their show, the Western media clown show. The quotes that they are using, they take these sound bits. One of them was just recently here, where there was a reporter from Bloomberg who asked, how can the Chinese government reduce its dependence on foreign imported resources such as iron ore, crude oil, natural gas, and soybeans to achieve a more self-sufficient economy? Now, this story, we will try to get a link and put it in our description below, but it does go into detail on what the Chinese actually said. And some voices at home and abroad believe that taking the domestic cycle as the main body means that China will greatly shrink in opening up to the outside world, and even engage in self-sufficiency. Building a new development pattern is an open domestic and international dual circularization, not a closed domestic single circularization. And what's amazing about that, and I have an actual video that I'm going to bring up here, it shows you how it's worded, or how it's scripted, how the reporter is asking it. and it can be easily translated in any other way. Just because the President Xi says one thing, the media can turn his words, even by translation errors. But let's have a listen here to a Bloomberg reporter ask
from
a
Bloomberg
question.
again on the economy. The rate of economic growth in China has slowed steadily throughout the last decade. Will China target a return to high growth rates in the next 5 years? And if so, how? Or has the era of rapid economic growth in China come to an end? Thank you.
彭博新闻社，过去10年，中国经济增长速度逐渐放缓。今后5年，中国还会把回到高速增长作为目标吗？如果是，如何实现？中国经济的快速增长已经结束了吗？
大家都很关心这个中国经济发展的问题。这位记者提出的问题，也可能是很多记者都想问的。
The performance of the Chinese economy is followed by many. I guess the same question could be on the mind of many other journalists.
我先跟大家分享一组数据。据统计，2013年到2021年，我国国内生产总值年均增长6.6%，高于同期世界2.6%，和发展中经济体3.7%的平均增长水平。对世界经济增长的平均贡献率超过30%。
Let me first share with you some figures. From 2013 to 2021, China's GDP had grown by 6.6% annually, higher than the global average of 2.6% and the 3.7% growth rate of other developing economies during the same period. We contributed, on average, over 30% to global growth.
作为世界第2大经济体。
So, once again, you have a reporter from Bloomberg that is focusing on the words China has slowed. Here's another comment that I just want to reiterate from the briefings yesterday. And this was also quoted from the gentleman that was, and a few of the gentlemen that were there. This last quote, I want to really everyone to think about these words, okay? China's economy is a sea. The world economy is also a sea, and the world's oceans are all connected. We will always be on the right side of history, never held back by headwinds and turning back. We will hold high the banner of building a community with a shared future for mankind. Okay, expand opening up and promote the development of globalization in the direction of inclusiveness. Whoa, say that word 3 times, Kurt. We will accelerate the construction of a new open economic system of a higher level and promote the smooth connection of domestic and international circulation. I mean, it's right there. It's in writing. It's exactly what the Chinese said. No, we're not slowing down because we're building domestics. We're moving forward. How can that be? How can they spin that another way?
You have to look at this in a realistic way. You know,
I'm trying.
The Chinese economy, and it is still a developing country, but when it was a poor developing country, it's easy to make, double digits in advancement in your economy. And as you get richer and richer, when you're starting to deal with hundreds of billions of dollars with their GDP, well, it gets harder to make those big numbers in percentages. So this is just a natural thing where the Western media tries to portray it as something bad. Well, no, it's something good for China. They're not making those big numbers in growth anymore because they've already grown so big that It's impossible to make those numbers. If they made their 15% or 9% growth in GDP every year, they'd own everything in the world in 5 years. It's impossible.
Amazing.
You know what I mean? So you can't go by what they say. You understand economics, and yes, we grew at astronomical amounts during this time period, our growth period, but because we've grown so big now, well, it's hard to do. It's easier to do big percentages on small numbers. It's harder to do big percentages on big numbers, and that's what China's dealing with right now.
Yeah, we still get some people that are saying it's massively slowed, and I think you've kind of addressed
Well, of
that
course
situation.
it has, because of the times, but not as much as negative numbers in the United States.
And you still have some considerable growth, and we have to remember that if China wants to press the button to really stimulate this economy, they did that in 2008 to actually save, at the time, the world's largest economy, the United States, through a massive financial crisis and housing crisis that pretty much crippled the world's financial systems and trading markets. It was China that did come to the table. It's China that continued to purchase, a lot of government bonds from the United States into the trillions of dollars, the T-bills to be exact. I mean, it's easy to criticize a country that has actually moved in the right direction. The amount of people that have been brought out of poverty. We are not talking about where I think a lot of our Western audience really gets confused between the difference of poverty and homelessness. Okay. Pretty much in a city like Chongqing, a population of 32 million, I have not seen a homeless person. There are measures in place that if people do fall through the cracks of society here, that there is a safety net, or at least a self-respect of people that in the community, they will help that person out. You fall through the cracks in society in Western or the collective West countries, you have no voice.
You're on your own, buddy.
You have no voice. You have no voice. And to get back into
you're that silent minority.
It's pretty scary. And a few people are only 1 or 2 paychecks away from that. Just yesterday, I just want to go over some of the highlights that were brought up from yesterday's events here of day 3 of the 20th CPC National Congress. Under the leadership of the Communist Party of China, all Chinese people will pull together with one mind to power the giant ship of national rejuvenation. Kurt, comments on that?
Rejuvenation of the economy and the Communist Party. I don't think they need rejuvenation. They've got policies that are sort of hurting their world right now with the zero COVID policy. Just the way the world is right now, and I think it'll all work its way out in time. I've seen things over the years where, as I say, we were talking with JO Nation here not too long ago about, well, I guess during the pandemic in China. And we were wondering how China was going to deal with it if the rest of the world got on with their world and China was still locked in this world of zero tolerance to COVID. And I think we're seeing part of that right now. It's one of those things that I'm not sure whether China's doing the right thing or the wrong thing right now, but it's hurting the Chinese economy. It's definitely hurting the reputation of the Communist Party in China, and it's hurting the world economy around the world. Rejuvenation of the Chinese Communist Party, I don't think they need rejuvenation. I think that their policies aren't proven to be the right policies at this point, whether they are in the future or not is yet to be seen. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's some other highlights here that the viewers can see on here. China would advance the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation on the fronts through the Chinese path to modernization. CPC will exercise full and strict self-governance over the party and further advance party building in the new area. China has also been improving its capability of ensuring food security over the past decade, which a lot of countries really should wake up and understand what that quote means: food security, skyrocketing inflation throughout other collective West countries here. With a higher annual grain output and stable market operation, China has guaranteed that its food supply remains firmly in its own hand. Wow, that is quite the comment. I have another comment from a viewer here, which I find absolutely probably one of the most insulting comments I've seen to Chinese people, Chinese government, and actually to our viewers here. Alex hasn't seen a homeless person because they get kicked out of the city and forced to live in literal caves in the countryside. What an insulting comment to our viewers of this show.
No. That happened back in the Chairman Mao days because I was in Xi Jinping's cave that he was sent to the countryside back when he was like 15 or 16 years old. I actually did a video about that. So JH is about 50 years behind the times, but he's probably an American, so we'll forgive him for that.
So 40 to 50 years behind the times, I understand that. But I find these type of comments that still riddle our comment section absolutely disingenuous to the people here that are following the rise and the forward of China. That type of comment is completely out of line. Don't like seeing it. It's pretty embarrassing if I was that person to put that up there. I would think you would take an encyclopedia. Even an encyclopedia could educate you if you have no internet access. Okay, here we go.
Usually, Alex, my response to a comment like that is, "You must be a peach to live with," and I just leave it at that.
Cooler King here, 74 cents is super chat to you, Ken, or to you, Kirk. Hello from Kentucky. The future is Asia and Africa. Thank you for that as well. Here we have another comment. Kurt Guelo 60 is right about it's all in the math. People need to wake up and remember what they learned at school. Can't believe these adult journalists just spew blah, blah, blah. Totally understand that comment.
I think that was the word for garbage.
Here's another comment from Ken, who's been a great viewer of all of our channels. 1 million dead in the United States. I think China is doing the right thing here. Nice comment. Thank you for that, Ken.
And you got to look at that, Ken. What's a life worth?
Exactly. I can't even comment to some of these ridiculous comments. Okay, let's continue to move forward here and look at some of the headlines that the international newspapers. Let's see what they've got here. Of course, plot to topple Truss this week in the United Kingdom. That is the third replacement of the Prime Minister. They are definitely working behind the scenes to get rid of her. Wow, that would be a very short time at the post there. Let's have a look. That surprisingly, that is the front headline in the United Kingdom. As we go on to the Financial Times, who is partially owned by a Japanese funding group, and also in the Australian, regions hit to pay the PM wish list, but no retreat. Chairman Xi lays down the law. Okay, in bold letters there. Should we be surprised that that's in the Australian press? Let's move forward here and have a look at our Americans. Panel demands Trump testimony under oath, and inflation is easing but still stubborn. Former president defiant as the midterms will likely alter the outlook. We got a comment. I know you want to comment on that, Kurt.
So no, the inflation is easing, but still stubborn. Alex, I'm going to ask you a question. So what do you think about interest rates on, say, term deposit GICs going up in Canada, the United States, and going down in China? What's with that?
Well, you can look at it two sides. If you're a saver, you're being rewarded. Okay.
But why is it going down in China? Why? So if the whole world is being is in this big inflation bubble that's just ruining people, and housing's going up and food is going through the roof and oil and gas and all of this other stuff. So we have to tame inflation. We have to make interest rates so high. We need money. And then the Chinese are saying, well, we're going to lower interest rates. And they've been lowering interest rates steadily over the last year and a half. What's going on?
Well,
it's a trick question.
It is a trick question, but I would say that the economy is ready to fly here.
In China. Well, you see, they didn't give out billions of dollars worth of handouts. They didn't print money like freaking crazy. They didn't feed into the whole world is going to rat shit. And they just did the regular thing. They never changed anything. You know, there's COVID checks every day, and sure there's places that get locked down here and there, but the rest of the country works as it did in the past. It's hurt their economy a little bit, of course. But not like it has here in the Western world, where everything has gone right out of, like, way off the scale. So who has a better government?
Got it.
You know what I mean? Who has a better government? Which country is a safer place for your investments?
Very clear. Very clear. China.
Of course. And I love my Chinese investments.
Let's carry on with the headlines here around the world. We have more to look at. China Daily says the CPC vows to boost modernization once again. Spoken the exact words that he did mention at the Congress. Wall Street Journal, Xi sets ambitions for China, warns of force over Taiwan. Thank you, Wall Street Journal, for that little hit piece. Let's continue on. And once again, the plot to get rid of Liz Truss is in motion here. So here's an interesting comment from Lulu, which I like watching Kurt's videos is the reason Kurt has a very potent, comprehensive perspective to the world, almost every part, every corner, you name it. Kurt,
how does that go? I think it's a 50s song. I've been around. Yeah, I've been around. And that's just it. I'm an older person. I've been around the world a number of times. I've lived in many different places, and it comes from experience. I think it comes from age. When you're young, you're dumb, and you don't really know what's going on. As you get older, as you run business, as you deal with things, you learn as you go. If you don't, you're just playing the same song over and over again. But yeah, it's from age. It's simple, and it's a simple way to look at things.
Here's an interesting comment as well. There is global slowdown in some parts of the world. Recessions. China is not immune. Slowdown is worldwide. That's a pretty fair comment. Just want to once again thank the audience for being patient with me today. There's a lot of information. If you could see what's on my screen here, I had to load a pile of videos, but once I'm back into the office, you will see me less stumble on my words like Joe.
Not only that, like I've got about 250 people watching and commenting on my channel, and then you've probably got more than that on your channel commenting, and so
anyway, it's nice to see a lot of people commenting in the side chats there. Just so you know, I'm going to let you know again, the audience, that we will be bringing back the Let's Talk China show here in the future. We've currently now in our studio, I'm currently at home right now, but in our studio right now, we are upgrading it to be a very nice ambiance for the viewers. There will be a lot of new things added to the show. Of course, dynamic things. I think I love that word, dynamic. We'll be using a lot of dynamic graphics, which will really involve you more. And I think in the future, we will have the capability to accept call-ins from all types of devices, whether it's mobile phones, telephone numbers, Telegram, WeChat, whatever. We will be able to address some of the people that might either have comments that they want to get out, whether they agree or not agree with that. I look forward to actually bringing those people onto the program to have a very, very nice healthy debate about China. But look forward to that. Our studio is going to be amazing. Our goal is to make it, or my goal and my team's goal is to make it one of the most comprehensive programs, live shows coming out of China. Of course, bringing great people onto this program helps build the audience, and that's why it's such a pleasure to have Kurt on the program today here. He's a wealth of knowledge, spending many years here in China, and of course, he'll be on his way back into this country soon. We'll say that, I hope, quickly. Let's see. Alex, what's this? Bring Guelo 60 more often before he turns 70.
Oh, we got lots of time there. Hey, Adam, send me your address and I'll send one of my buddies over there to kick your ass.
Oh, wow. Here's interesting here. Chongqing Comedy Club, any chance of comedians on Let's Talk? What you guys can do, I'm pretty sure I know what channel you guys are. Just send me an email, go to my YouTube account, Reportify Media, or, you'll see it there. You have to go online to do it because on the mobile, you won't see the email for some reason, but go on my Reportify Media channel, which a lot of you guys know me from. Send me an email there and we will definitely work things out. I believe you're in Chongqing. I think I know what area it is. It'd be great to meet up, have a coffee, and talk to other fellow content creators. That's amazing.
But you got to be funny.
Yeah, you got to be funny.
If you're not
they
funny,
are funny.
go
They are
away.
very good. CT, hello from Saskatchewan, one of my favorite channels, one of my favorite provinces in Canada, by the way, as well. Saskatchewan. Say that 3 times.
What was cold here, boy.
What was that other word I said to say quickly? What was it? Let me just find it.
What are you talking about?
Well, when people say when I'm trying to say some Chinese words, they kind of laugh. They'll say, "Oh, you said it a little bit wrong." I say, "Okay, well, say Saskatchewan."
Yeah, well, or get a Chinese person to say bulk barn. You know the store Bulk Barn?
Bulk Barn?
Bulk Barn. They can't say
I'll
it.
do that.
She says, well, let's go to Bulk Barn. I says, what? And Tony, a friend of mine, he's been in Canada since he was 13 years old and got to school and university and stuff. Says, where are we going? He knows what he was saying. You know what I mean? Like, so there's these tongue twisters with all languages. There's lots of Chinese words I can't even try to pronounce.
The Quantum says that you can make a good wine or liquor from Saskatchewan, but Saskatchewan. That's a hard word to spell. Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan berries. You're right. Aren't they called Saskatoon berries?
Well, we've got pin cherries, we've got Saskatoon berries, we got wild raspberries, we've got, there's lots of stuff. There's lots of berries in Saskatchewan.
Oh, there we go. Captain Canuck has come in to save the day.
Saskatoon berries, Captain Canuck, and Captain Canuck, in my mind, would have a Canadian flag as a cape, a skate on one foot, a ski boot on another,
a
hockey glove on one side, and I don't know, a lacrosse thing in the other one. A hockey helmet of course. It's like some shoulder pads from a football. Captain Canuck. It's so many different things all into one.
What time in the time zone are you now? You're in the Western time zone there in Canada. Are we keeping you up
Pacific.
late tonight, Kurt?
We're in Pacific. It's what, 8:46 p.m. What time's it there?
11:46 a.m. here in China. Chongqing. So, guys, get your questions in now. Kurt and I will do a rapid fire to answer all your questions. And I just want to remind you that once again, this is an extremely busy week here in China. A lot of things need to be viewed. If you can't view them on your Western media channels, you can view into the iChongqing channel. We have a lot of comprehensive reports. All our social networks, like our Facebook, our Twitter account, is being updated a lot during this 20th National Congress of the Communist Party in China. You will find updates, you will find reports, you will find documentaries, you will see us talking about a fishing ban that was in Chongqing, you will see us talking about the ecology, especially in Chongqing. And of course, the reason why we're talking a lot of Chongqing is because this is the city I live in, and iChongqing is based here. But there is a lot of comprehensive stuff that is followed throughout China, and you can definitely do that. I'm going to put that up quickly on the channel now so you guys know where to find us at there. Just have a look at the ticker at the bottom of the screen there. It's ichongqing.info, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and of course we have other social networking handles. Of course, we are on WeChat as well. We have a channel there, and probably, I'm not sure if the viewers are aware of this, but we do have a Rumble channel, which I think, and I'm hoping in the future, that we can put some energy into the Rumble channel, and may in part might move partially some of the live streams, maybe in the third or fourth part of the live stream, where they get into deeper, more opinionated stuff, where it seems on Rumble you're allowed to be a little bit more open about your feelings about things. So we'll see how that goes. But first of all, in the next couple of weeks, once I'm back into the office, guys, it's going to be full steam ahead to get this new show, this new studio going. It'll be interactive. It will be a very, very nice, intimate studio. I think the kind of studio that you would just love to queue in daily and hang around and chat with all the viewers that come on the channel. That's right. Kevin is saying that Rumble isn't restricted. We hope it stays that way as well. But you guys can find us on iChongqing on Rumble. Now, to Kurt's channel, Guelo 60 channel, still very active channel, even though right now he is in Canada. I tell you, the viewers are still really interested in your commentary. And tell us what is in store for two channels that you have. I believe one is Guelo 60 and the other one is Nanaimo Now. Am I saying that correct?
It is. And I just go through whatever I do on a daily basis. If I see things that I like or don't like, it goes on my channel. The Nanaimo channel is something that, because I live here in Nanaimo or Canada for that matter, it's one of those things that I don't like what's going on, I'll tell you. I like what's going on, I'll tell you. If there's something, the beautiful ocean beside, I'm on Vancouver Island, I'll tell you. And then we get into the Guelo 60 channel, and it's basically all about China and how I see it. And I'm not there at this moment, but we have a home there. My wife is Chinese. Our life sort of revolves around both Canada and China. We bounce back and forth between our home here and our home there. So you're going to see all of that and basically more on the Guelo 60 channel. So whether you like the Canadian content or the Chinese content, you can jump from one of my channels to the other. And that's basically what I do. Retired, got nothing else to do but have fun. And it is a hobby. You know what I mean? It's not something like I do for a living. It's not a job. It's a passion. The truth about China, yes. The untruth about China, yes. But I'll tell you more of the truth than the untruth, like most other channels won't.
Kurt, here's a comment for you. I miss Guelo 60's little documentaries from the streets of China. The one from the futuristic car design studio was good too. Do you know about that video?
Oh, dude, I've been in Canada for, I don't know, 8-9 months now, and everybody knows why I'm here. But yeah, I miss China. I miss the streets of China doing what I do over there too. But at this time, I've got other responsibilities that just won't let me go there. So yeah, those little electric cars are cool, eh? You know what I mean? We get to rifle around factories in southern Guangxi Autonomous Region, places where the electric cars are built, and yeah, it was cool. But next.
Here we go. We got another comment for you,
See,
Kurt.
fluffy snow.
Which public state bank in China is best for maintaining savings while able to handle Canadian OAS plus CPP for retirees thinking of living in China, allowing foreign currency flexibility? You know what's interesting, Kurt? The amount of people that I've seen in the last 6 months wanting to move to China. Wow. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this happen.
I think getting away from the state-owned banks and going to something like CITIC Bank is probably the best thing for a foreigner, just for the fact that they're easier to deal with. You get the Bank of China and the Communication Bank of China and stuff like that. They have more rules and regulations, where the CITIC Bank is one of those banks that just, they have the same regulations, but they have maybe better customer relations, and that's who I deal with. And I still do money management with that particular bank, and I don't with the other ones, because one is easy, the others are hard.
Here's some more questions for you, Kurt, if you don't mind me continue to throw them up there. Any American-style barbecue smoked meat in Nanning?
Oh yeah. Smoked meat is in every wet market. You just have to know where to find it, and it is so good. But when you get older and you're drinking beer and all you're doing is eating a smoked meat, you get indigestion. So make sure you got some of those pills with you. Oh yes, been down that road a couple times.
Okay, here, yes, somebody had a comment for me. Speaking of cars, watch Alex freak out when riding with Chinese car drifters. Hilarious. Yeah, that was quite the video. You can view that on our iChongqing channel called Chinese Drift Cars. Here's an interesting comment. Electric car sales are going through the roof in China. I agree. And Chongqing is a major manufacturing hub for that. The amount of cars being here, you can go into shopping malls and you'll see like 6 to 10 kiosks of EV cars everywhere here. And you know what I like?
And there's hills there. You wouldn't expect them to be able to make it up the hill.
Yeah, you know what I like?
Bikes can.
I love my e-bike. And you must miss that e-bike. Oh man. Oh,
more. I have 2 of them, and yeah, I miss them. I miss them both every day. It's easy to get around on an e-bike.
We got another question here for you, Kurt. A lot of people have been commenting about Weifeng. Here is a question for you. Guelo 60, how's Weifeng lately? Would like an update on that. Wish her the best.
Weifeng is doing good. Her treatments are going good, and everything is on track, and she's healthy, happy, and we're just taking it one day at a time.
Here's another question here. Since a few years, China is absolute #1 for EVS. I think 80% of the entire market. I don't have an exact figure on that, but what you can do, Quantum, is visit the iChongqing site. There is a lot of coverage of that, and you will see a lot more moving forward on that. Just want to kind of come back into the frame here for a second here. I want to be clear, thanks, Gert, that we will go into more things China coming up on these live streams in the future. I have a great team that is going to be working with me to help us really be prepared on these shows. I think that there isn't really a voice coming out of China. That's why, the gentleman that I share the screen with, we came up with an idea called Let's Talk China many years ago. And you think you all remember that. So the good old days are coming back, but they are going to be new and improved. They are going to be very detailed and very well thought out programs. You can maybe leave some comments in the side if you think that we should have one big show, whether it's on the weekend to start, and a few mini shows throughout the week. I know that a lot of other platforms and channels that have seen astronomical growth on YouTube here in the last year. One is called The Redacted. Another one's, I believe his name is Hinkle the Dive. The Duran.
Don't forget Mexicanos in China. These guys went
Mexicanos in China.
We brought them on a Xi'an trip, and they had 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers, and Max and Noelia hit. And, because I knew they would, because they're such good people. Now they're into the millions of subscribers. They're doing great. I'd love to have them on Let's Talk China.
And amazing people too. Very kind-hearted, true. Took
Young
absolutely
and
slanderous
good
and took absolutely slanderous and defamatory comments from other less positive content creators who are negative on China. That was just absolutely horrific.
They just,
anyway, a grain of salt.
Shitheads.
Yeah. Just so you guys know, do I have a Patreon? Yes, I do. Maybe Ken, if you're out there, or my moderators, if you're out there, please put everyone's channel on here today. Kurt Guelo 60's channel. Please put the links in the description. You can put my Reportify Media and, of course, I Chung Ching's channel. Please put them in there, and you will see all the links for everything. Here's another one. BYD. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this brand, Kurt, but they are already in Australia.
Yeah, that's actually a friend of mine's got one of them, and they seem okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Ugly.
Neo cars are the most stylish. Would you agree?
They have they have colors. They're pastel colors.
Okay. Here is a super chat. Kurt, your next beer is on me. Enjoy, from Thomas.
Cool, buddy. Just a second. Ching.
Never a dull moment with Guelo 60
Thanks,
on the
Tom.
screen here.
I love it.
KS saw a super chat. Thank you for your contribution. Kurt greatly appreciates that. Hank says that Neo is top of the range for you viewers that aren't familiar with Neo. Quite a car brand. We're checking out, definitely. And we're seeing BYD, Beyond Your Dreams, and Geely. But tastes are different. Geely. We see Geely. Kurt, you know about Geely.
You don't know Geely? Geely's
You know
everywhere,
about Geely.
man. Yeah, no, it's just, when you're in the Western world, your Chevys and your Fords and your Dodges, your Toyotas and Hondas and whatever. Then you go to China, and you got your Geelys, your BYDs, you got your Woolen vans, and you know what I mean? So it's a total different world over there. Like, it's it is what it is, the Neos of the world. And the little electric cars that will cost you, they're not the top of the range, but that's what you need for in-city stuff at 60,000 RMB, which is like maybe 12,000 Canadian dollars or 9,500 American dollars. Here, what do you get? What kind of car you get for 10 grand?
Oh, that's your repair bill for a car.
Well, that's just it. I paid when I got back. My brakes were locked up on my Hyundai. It cost me $3,500 to get them repaired.
The insanity.
Well, for fuck's sakes,
Pre-tax.
you know what I mean? Like, so I just paid the $3,500 and said, "Yeah, okay, they're good now." But
But if you're on somebody's payroll, that's $7,000 prior to taxes. So you got to make $7,000 after taxes. It's about 3,500 or 3,800.
Yeah,
so
but
that's an expensive bill.
I haven't been on somebody's payroll since my balls dropped.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We have a very active community here, and it continues to grow. Once again, we've seen some great growth here on the iChongqing channel and the community. That is really saying to us that we are moving in the right direction. Let's go through a lot of these as quick as possible. These questions here, Kurt. What do you think of the level of education in China?
It's getting better and better. I think 20 out of the top 60 universities in the world are in China.
Okay.
That says it all there, right?
Okay. Is this someone from my office or someone that we know? I don't know. It says, you guys look great. How you doing? Thanks. Thank you very much.
We look great. We're like, look at us. So one of us could actually shave every once in a while, but whatever.
Yeah, thanks for that. Okay.
No problem.
I have a lot of people sometimes ask me, they say, about shaving. And I'll tell you, I did have a autoimmune disorder called alopecia on my face. And you'll see in some of my early videos of Chongqing that I would have these little bald spots on my beard. And that is caused by an autoimmune disorder. I think people are quite familiar with alopecia areata is. It either you can wake up in the morning and lose all your hair. That's one option. Or the other one, you will get these small bald spots on your beard. So just from doctor's advice, it's good to keep the hair follicles growing out a few times. But yeah, no denying it. You can see the evidence here. Here we go here. William. Alex, do you have any news on solar farm in China? Like some updates? Do we have anything on solar farms and updates? I know in our latest video from Prosper, we have a video on our iChongqing channel that you should watch. It does address solar farms, and it does address other things that China is doing for the environment and to become a leader in that space. So you have to check that video out on our YouTube channel on iChongqing, and also there's a report on our website. Let's see. Here's a good question. From Peter, did you have the fourth shot before coming back to China from Canada? We haven't come back yet, but I don't think you need. I think 2 shots is all you need for the moment. That's my understanding.
I can get into a Canadian hospital with 2 shots of Chinese, but every time I just take a picture of it from my Chinese shots that I took in Nanning, and yes, they are in English too, and but every time I show them on my phone, they ask me for picture ID. Still,
yes,
in hospitals in Canada.
This Quantum guy is razor sharp. He is a smart
I know,
one. I mean, he knows exactly.
He keeps us honest, man.
He is on it. So he says, yeah, localized alopecia. Forgot the name AA. It's alopecia areata in short. Something alopecia, basically. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. But yes, that's how it is. Okay, here's another one. Alex, how did you fly your Mavic in Chengdu? No comment on that one. We'll move on. So
I don't no hable English.
Okay, Kurt, you might know about this. You need to go to Xinjiang for the largest solar farm, second to the Indian one as the largest.
Gobi Desert, yeah. Well, it's sunny, it's no clouds forever, and that's just the way it is. They have a lot of economic development in Xinjiang Autonomous Region. From moving water from the mountains into the desert, reclaiming land, solar farms, wind farms, all of these things that they're trying to make the place better. Beer burp, but it's getting better in that area of China, and people are scared. The Western world is scared that China's making their life better, so they won't want to be such a pain in the ass of China as they have been in the past. and they have been in the past. You know what I mean?
Okay, a couple more comments here. Well, there we go. Of course, no problem. So are we. We've just got a lot of work to do to get that going. There is a lot of hardware to put these news shows on with multi-cameras, graphics, LED screens, you name it. We will be up to par with a lot of other channels, or even surpassing them in that. If I have my vision.
And
Go ahead.
I always put on a brand new T-shirt for these shows. What? You don't believe me? Come on now, man. How does that go? Biden, come on now.
Okay, here, actually, I'm going to kind of address this here. Alex, you showed us the no drone sign, and then you showed us numerous drone video. I wasn't able to get my Mavic up in the air in Chengdu. You must override. Not necessarily true. If you apply or talk to the region or even the police, and you tell them that depending on what it's for, if it's for filming, for professional services or whatever, you can get permission. You just have to go through the right channels. Also, you should have a registered number, registered Chinese phone number. Sometimes it's the application itself that restricts it, and sometimes they over restrict your applications. My suggestion when it comes to drone flying, that any shots that you feel that are very complicated, don't do them. Get together with a professional. My advice to all the people that want to know about drones is to go visit your local DJI store. I would recommend this to everyone who likes drone aerial photography. Go visit the experts. The people that work in these stores know how these drones work. They know where to fly them. They know how to repair them. Exactly. Take them out for a coffee, a lunch, a beer, whatever. Make a drone guy your best friend, or drone girl your best friend, and get them to fly with you for the first few times so that you feel comfortable. And if it's a very, very difficult shot, like aerials over buildings and stuff, don't do it. If you need that shot for professional reasons, hire a professional, let them do the shots, and work with a team. Now, I have a collaboration with a bunch of drone pilots all over China, and that started through communication through DJI. When I first came to Chongqing, I spoke with some guys from DJI store. I said, can you help me out? I need some aerial shots. Then they taught me how to fly. And even as many as a few months ago, we see some local pilots that are exceptionally well, know how to take some shots that are great. It's good to hire these guys for the day to teach your team or to teach yourself. Because if aerial photography is something that you want to learn about, there's nothing wrong with hiring people, and especially the best starting point is where you have bought these drones, because a lot of these guys and girls that work in those stores, they have drones. They know where to fly them. They know how to fly them. They know the restrictions are not restrictions. They're going to guide you in the right direction. It's unfortunate that DJI has been banned in the United States, but yeah. That is right, John. I thought DJI was already banned in the US. It certainly is, but not in China. Here's something interesting that Kevin has brought up. DJI has a drone flying class. Perfect. People should enroll in it, I would say, immediately. Okay. Yes, and they're saying that they're still selling the old stock there. You're right. You're welcome for the information there, Will. Okay, a couple more questions for Kurt Guelo 60. Let's get them up here. Let's find where they were. A lot of Xinjiang questions. Let's just say, okay. Kurt, tell me, what are the plans for you over the winter season? Is there plans for you to try to come back to China?
We have no idea. Seriously, we're thinking about going back to China, but we find needs a couple months worth of pills and stuff, and the doctors aren't sure whether they're going to give her those pills without having blood tests and stuff. So the alternative is a month trip to either Costa Rica or Belize. a month's trip into Arizona, because we can fly back there in a couple hours, where China takes a couple days to get back and forth type thing. So it's up in the air at this point right now. And in my world, the most important thing is Weifang's health. So that's where we're sitting right now.
Have you managed to meet your daughter since you've been back, Miranda, who is also
actually, my dad passed away when we were coming back to Canada. We were in Shanghai. We were flying back to Canada the next day. My dad passed away. So because my dad is one of those people that just loved to be a comedian, well, he was actually a very nice man. He made me the executive of his estate. So I've been dealing with that for the last little bit. And then Wei Fang's brother has been dealing with her dad in an old folks home, and his PR card, permanent resident card, ran out. And I used to be an immigration consultant, so now I'm setting up a temporary resident or a travel document, permanent resident travel document for him. So that's been taking my time, and like it's like one thing after another after another. It's a good thing that I'm back in Canada so I can deal with these things, because if I was in China, it would be difficult to deal with all of this stuff. It would take what takes 2 or 3 days would take 2 or 3 weeks. So you know what I mean?
Hang says, Kurt, China will always be here and no worries, as you can come back anytime.
Well, we have a home in Nanning. We own it. We have bank accounts. We have bikes. We have everything. See, when we go back to China, we don't even carry luggage because we have our clothes and whatever there. And then when we come back here to Canada, we have a home here and luggage or clothes and whatever here too. So, it's you buy a ticket, you go one way. You buy a ticket, you go the other way. It's part of our life. Parts Wei Fang's, parts mine. I have more invested in Canada. Wei Fang has more invested in China, but that doesn't mean that Wei Fang doesn't have stuff invested in Canada and I don't have stuff invested in China. So yeah, our life is in both countries, and it always will have.
Hammer 88 saying, I bet you miss your e-bike with a beer on the hand.
I miss riding my bike around. I miss going to the all you can eat, all you can drink barbecues.
I miss getting the phone calls from you at the all you can eat barbecues.
I miss the dim sum. I miss going to the wet markets. I miss. But some things are more important than other things, and right now we're dealing with Wei Fang, and that's the way it is.
China is like a shiny diamond, sparkling for all the world to admire.
Yeah. So is that sneaky weasel beer. Well, you expect me to be professional about this, Alex? And no, I refuse. I refuse to grow up. Damn it.
That's good. So it's been quite a pleasure to share the screen with you, Kurt. It's good to see you. It's good to see you back on doing some live streams here. I see you got a studio set up now that you've been doing quite well.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, it's doing quite well, and I've been watching a couple of your shows as well. So if I can ask you, in the next 6 months, if China opened, let's say in the next 2 months, what would your moves be?
Well, we come over for about 3 months and deal with Wei Fang's dad, and he's in an old folks home and stuff. You can't leave old people alone and whatever. Wei Fang's brother is there right now, but he has to come back over because he's got permanent residency obligations here in Canada.
Oh, yeah, it's complicated.
As he comes over, we go over there and whatever. it's sort of a tightrope of immigration and dealing with medical stuff and whatever.
So I'm going to wind down the show, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Kurt Guelo60 have the last words. And as we all do with all these shows here, is once we come off the screens, we will leave the chat open for you to share links, talk amongst your guys' self for probably 2 to 4 minutes after that. And then we'll end the program. But thank you so much from the iChongqing and Chongqing group here. And of course, have a pleasant day, night, wherever you are. I'm going to hand it over to Kurt. Thank you so much for sharing your audience with us today. And if you haven't subscribed to Kurt's channel, you can just watch the links. Everybody will be sharing them. Over to you, Kurt. You close it down for us. When you hear the music coming in, that means that we'll then cut to the screen and let everyone chat amongst themselves and with you. Okay, over to you, sir.
Thanks everybody for dropping by. It's been a while since I've dealt with Alex on a live stream. Let's talk China and with Jo and Barrett and Daniel and all of the people. You know, I sort of miss those days because it reminds me of the days of my life in China, and those days aren't over. They're just sort of postponed. But until next time, when we get into that little world that we were in before, I have to thank everybody for showing up. Until next time, peace out. Bye now.